Hi friends, so I wanted to share with you today something that I learned a talk by Ajamu Baraka with Steve Grumbine today from the Real Progressives. Ajamu Baraka, you may know or may not know, he was the Greens Party vice presidential candidate and he ran along with Jill Stein. And Steve Grumbine was interviewing him today, and I found that to be inspiring and also made me feel quite happy. It's great to see. Forward-thinking people, particularly those running for office. He said we have to have a vision. This is what I understood him to say: is a vision that that encompasses everybody, that is inclusive. If we don't have a vision that's inclusive, then it's not working. It's not a tenable system. It's not a functional system. It's anti-human. So I'd have to say that's the case. The system is working for a small few, and they're the wealthy, or it's working for corporations. Neoliberalism has infected the globe, basically. Every country is feeling its effects. And neoliberalism values the marketplace over people. And, of course, it values the marketplace over non-human animals too, of course, but non-human animals have been in that situation for a long, long time. And that's why vegan education is so important, because they're not resources. But just speaking about people, the system is not working for people. And we need to do something about that, because it's only going to get worse. And that's why taking interest in politics is so important. Because if you, as the saying goes, if you don't take an interest in politics, one day it'll take an interest in you. So we have to support those who do have a vision that's different, that is inclusive. And we have to do some work ourselves and try and get that message across to people, that they don't have to accept the current situation. They don't have to accept unfettered capitalism. They don't even have to accept capitalism. You can have a democracy without capitalism. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And not only that, but you can have a system which is inclusive. And socialism has been put down. It's like this incredibly dirty word that you just don't even mention. I mean, you might remember during the election of Barack Obama. People used to say, oh, he's a socialist, like as if that's a bad thing. Well, he wasn't a socialist. Have you noticed that it doesn't matter who's in power, whatever the duopoly is, it seems to always just go on unabated? It doesn't seem to matter who's in power. And that's because it's owned by corporations. And that's neoliberalism. Corporations are dictating the policy now for governments. Did you hear that when Barack Obama got into office, that he got Citibank to select his cabinet? Citibank. That's neoliberalism. That's neoliberalism. And that's true. This was uncovered in the Podesta files, the leak that the DNC is so desperate in America to cover up. The Democratic Party is so desperate to blame everybody else but themselves for their loss to Trump. But one of the reasons they lost to Trump, it wasn't because of racism or whatever. A lot of people voted for Trump because they're absolutely desperate for change. They're desperate. They thought Barack Obama was going to give them change. He didn't give them change. He didn't give them anything. In fact, he made a lot of things a lot worse. He deported more people in his 8 years than any president in the last 60 years. He deported more people. He deported, I think, 2-point-something million people out of the country. So these the front puppets change, but things go on the same. That's neoliberalism. Things go on the same, and it's usually always in favor of corporations. Always. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that if you're in the United States, that healthcare, the premiums just go up and up and up? But the care probably seems to get worse and worse. That's neoliberalism. We don't have to accept that. We don't. Why should we? Because they're supposed to be working for us. Politicians are supposed to be working for us. But you wouldn't know it, though. In fact, yesterday, I watched a little clip from the Jimmy Dore show. Have you heard of the Jimmy Dore show? I'll leave a link. There's a couple of links, actually, that are interesting. And one was one of the politicians, I'm trying to remember who it was, somebody from the GOP. He's a high up, one of the sort of main guys. Somebody in the audience was saying to him, it was a town hall meeting.
Thank you for 30 years of public service.
I want to thank you for 30 years of public service. And you can see that he's like, uh-oh, some shit's coming, though. Right? You can see in his eyes, like, I've seen this before. Uh-oh. She's coming after me.
You have to acknowledge that we got too damn many people on food stamps in Kentucky. And last I heard, we're the leader, and that is not where we want to be the leader.
Ooh. You see him? You see his eyes start to drift like, oh, shit.
Oh, man.
So she's up there giving him, hey, our lives are bad here in Kentucky. We're leading the country in food stamps, and that's not where we want to be the leader. What are you doing about it?
It's times like this, Mitch McConnell, he wishes he was an actual turtle. You just go back.
And the last I heard, these coal jobs are not coming back, and now these people don't have the insurance they need because they're poor. And they work those coal mines, and they're sick. The veterans are sick. The veterans are broken down.
The coal miners lost their jobs. They got no insurance because their jobs are gone. The veterans come back. They're broken. Nobody's taking care of the veterans. We got leading the country in food stamps. So that, hey, look, there's a right winger who it doesn't take an ideology to recognize that things are shitty. So this is why workers, left, right, black, white, old, poor, need to come together. Because that's how guys like Mitch McConnell divide people, by all that stuff. Rich, old, young, old, black, white, Democrat, Republican. And she's noticing the same goddamn thing that the Fight for 15 people are noticing. Like, hey, this system's a little screwed up here. What the hell's going on, Mitch? You're the leader in the Senate and your state's in disrepair? We're leading the country in food stamps? Our coal miners are out of job. By the way, Kentucky leads top of the right up there. One of the highest in the country for poverty. 18.4% poverty rate in Kentucky. Poverty rate. So,
They're not getting what they need. If you can answer any of that, I'll sit down and shut up like Elizabeth Warren.
So, again, he's just going to, he does what all politicians do. I'm not going to address your concerns. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to try to find a way to laugh this off and move on.
Well, she got in the Elizabeth Warren
Yeah.
joke. She's like, I'm still a Republican.
I'm still a Republican.
Don't worry.
That's exactly what she's doing. You're right. She's signaling, hey, I'm still on your side. I like that you shut up, Elizabeth Warren. But I'm starting to wake up that you're our elected representative and things are horrible here. So it's like she's starting to wake up. Hey, wait a minute. He's in power now. They're the ones with all the power. Now you got to actually govern. Now you got to. So here's how he handles it.
I'm sorry. I get excited.
I hope you feel better now.
Wow.
Yeah, all those problems. I hope you feel better because we're not doing a goddamn thing about any of those problems.
Feels good to talk
I
about
hope it feels
huh?
good to get it off your chest, right? Because that's the only way you're going to feel better. Because we ain't going to give you health care to make you feel better. We're not going to get you jobs. We're not going to help the better. We're not doing anything to help your life get better. We're not going to do anything to fight the poverty rate. You know that, right? You know that. So I hope you just yell it at me and it gets you feel better. All right. Bye-bye.
That's what he said to her. Do you feel better now? It's the sort of contempt that politicians have for people now. You're just an inconvenience. And somebody said to Nancy Pelosi, who is the Democrat, one of the Democrat leaders, I don't know if she's the House Speaker or something, I'm not sure.
People between the ages of 18 and 29, not just Democrats, not just leftists, 51% of people between 18 and 29 no longer support the system of capitalism. And that's not me asking you to make a radical statement about capitalism, but I'm just telling you that my experience is that the younger generation is moving left on economic issues. And I've been so excited to see how Democrats have moved left on social issues. As a gay man, I've been very proud to see you fighting for our rights and for many Democratic leaders fighting for our rights. But I wonder if there's anywhere you feel that the Democrats could move farther left to a more populist message, the way the alt-right has sort of captured this populist strain on the right wing, if you think we could make a more stark contrast to right-wing economics.
Well, I thank you for your question, but I have to say we're capitalist, and that's just the way it is. However, we do think that capitalism is not necessarily meeting the needs with the income inequality that we have in our country. And let me just tell you this. I don't know how much time we have.
Well, what was the... Why are you giggling over a guy who's giving you a piece of information about, hey, you know that most of the people, those are the young people in your party, don't trust the system? They think the system's broken? And her tin air response is, believe me, boy, she dismissed that quicker than the DNC dismissed the fucking public option. Am I right?
Many, many young voters who belong to the Democrats. just think capitalism isn't working for them anymore. And instead of listening to that, she just said, she just laughed. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. They're not working for you and I anymore. If they ever were. And Nancy Pelosi has $30 million. It's working for her. Capitalism is working for her. Unfettered capitalism. Unfettered capitalism is causing ecocide. Unfettered capitalism has made 8 people richer than half the world's population. And now, after decades and decades of the oligarchy looking after themselves, and from 1980 onwards, when Reagan came in, we have Neoliberalism. Neoliberalism has infected the planet. It's infected the planet. And what are we doing about it? We keep voting for the same 2 parties. The same 2 parties. And we're not, and if we live in America, they don't have ranked choice voting like we have in Australia. And they also have electoral fraud, and I'm not talking about Russia. Russia didn't hack the elections, and that's clear. There's no evidence of that. The Democratic Party is just using that as an excuse for 2 reasons. 1, they don't want to own their mistakes and their corruption. And there's 3 reasons actually. 2, they don't want to own up to the fact that they rigged the election against Bernie Sanders. And I'm not endorsing Bernie Sanders. He's been promoting anti-Russian propaganda. He's a lost cause. And 3, the 3rd reason is that they want to have a war with Russia. Now you might think, no, that's not right, but if you've been paying attention to independent media, they've been being militarily aggressive towards Russia and encircling Russia. And you'll see in the media, which is just a government mouthpiece, they're also trying to drum up a war with Russia. This is like Iraq 2.0, looking for reasons to start a war with Russia. And if we have a war with Russia, it will be nuclear. That'll be the end. The end. So they're the reasons why. They're the reasons why the DNC, they lost because they can't even look at themselves. They can't even look at their own corruption. So we need to, and the GOP's a lost cause, so both of them are a lost cause. So we need to, well, as they say, Dem exit. That's the thing you need to do if you are in the US. Dem exit and don't look back because they are incapable of introspection. They're just a party of rich, very rich people who want to get richer, and they're using the party to do that, just like Hillary Clinton did. And the GOP are a lost cause. They're imploding as we speak. And if you've ever heard of the deep state, and I invite you to get a hold of a book by Peter Dale Scott about the deep state, and I'll put a link in the information section. The deep state don't want Donald Trump. They're the ones, the deep state are the ones that are the stakeholders behind the scenes in government who want to have they want to have a front puppet who's going to sell their wars and sell whatever else, the TPP and all these different things that they want they want in. They want them to sell their pipelines. It's the oil industry, big pharma, the arms industry. That's the deep state, and there's a few others as well. So the front puppet at the moment is Donald Trump, and he's not working out for them because he has a lower popularity level than George W. Bush did after the Iraq War, I think it was. So they don't want him because he's not a smooth operator like Barack Obama was. He's not somebody that people think is groovy. And meanwhile, Barack Obama was bombing 7 Muslim-majority countries, 3 bombs every hour for 8 years. That's the cool guy, right? And he was also doing a lot of other awful things as well, droning people, droning wedding parties and funeral parties and bombing hospitals. I mean, I cried when Barack Obama won. That's how naive I was. I cried. And then I got hooked into independent news, and I saw that he was on talk shows and doing all this sort of friendly, folksy stuff, and meanwhile he was writing laws that basically now, I think I've mentioned this before, and I mentioned it on one of my podcasts, vegantrove.com podcasts, in the National Authorization Defense Act, the government can now detain people without charge indefinitely and without any sort of counsel. And also, they can assassinate American citizens, and it's legal. And they have assassinated American citizens already. They assassinated Anwar al-Awlaki via a drone, and then 2 weeks later they killed his son, who was 16 and an American citizen, via a drone. And then Donald Trump finished the job and killed the daughter of Anwar al-Awlaki, who was 8 years old. Her name was Nora. That happened when Donald Trump got into office. He killed 30 other people along with that little girl. She was shot in the neck and took 2 hours to die. Or more, 2 hours or more. That's what the grandfather said. This is what, if you're an American citizen, this is what your tax dollars are paying for. They're paying for shooting young 8-year-old girls that had nothing to do with anything. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And young boys who were 16, children in Gaza, there was 550 children in Gaza, were bombed and killed in 2014 by the Israeli government. And the United States funds the Israel government, gives them millions and millions of dollars every year. This is what your taxes are going into. Anyway, I've gone off the track here, but Ajamu Baraka is a really interesting person. He seems to have a good motivation, and I hope that people will support him. I think that it's people like him, if they got into office, things would be, unless of course he gets so much opposition from the deep state, but if he was able to do what he wished to do, things would be very, very different. So I hope that I've kind of gone off the track, and I'll probably talk more about what Ajamu Baraka said in his in this chat today, and I'll actually post some of that chat either along with this video or I'll do it in a separate thing. But I think you should look at it, because these are the sort of people, the sort of leaders, you might say. Not that we should be grasping for leaders. We should all be trying to not put our hopes in one person. We should be trying to do our own thing, but we should try and support people who seem to have good motivations and want to do the right thing. And he's one of those people. So, I think so anyway. So anyway, I might wrap it up here, but I'll talk more about this. I'll pick out some talking points from Ajamu Baraka's talk, and then I'll expand a little on this. I'm no commentator really, but I do follow a lot of politics, because you might be wondering why I follow American politics so much. And the reason is that, like I said, they've brought neoliberalism to the rest of the world, and we're all going to pay for it. Neoliberalism is actually taking apart anything that's good, and it's going to exploit the planet until there's nothing left. So we need to care about that, and it hasn't been contained in the United States. It's coming to your country, and it's probably already there, and the people in power will eventually just go the way of the United States. So if you have any universal health care there, it's going to go. That's just the way the market works. Just the way the market works. It's in the way neoliberalism works. Unfettered capitalism and neoliberalism are cancers. And we need to have a world where healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. And we need to have a world where education is not a privilege, it's a right. And we need people to feel connected again and have a sense of community. Communities are being destroyed. We need to have a situation that honors Indigenous people and their land, because we've invaded their homes and committed genocide, and now, like places like Standing Rock or Indigenous people in Australia, we're just continuing to whittle away at them and trying to destroy them, because Indigenous people, they're an obstacle to capitalism. They're an obstacle to capitalism. And that's why they were the first slot that went. They're an obstacle to white patriarchal imperialism. And we haven't stopped trying to destroy them. Anyway, the sun's going down, so I'll wrap it up here. So thanks very much for listening. I hope that you will join me next time. I'm not sure what the topic will be, and it might be a few days. I'm not sure. I just do these little vlogs when I feel the urge to. But until next time, keep well and try and get involved. Try and get involved in politics, as in try and find out what's going on through independent news and follow independent news. Or else, like they say, if you don't take an interest in politics, one day politics will take an interest in you. We don't want that. We don't want the shock of that. People's lives are at stake. Okay, bye for now. I'll just show you the sun going down.